Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial on using the graphics calculator to solve equations. This is probably one of the best uses for a graphics calculator. Okay, you would have had, in the past questions like this. We might do 3x plus 6 equals 2x plus 4. Okay. You may have had questions like this in the past, and hopefully you can solve that. You can still solve that the long way. The best thing about this graphics calculator, you don't need to know how to solve it. Okay, as long as you know how to put it into the calculator, okay, that's all you need to know. So we're going to look at how to do that. So let's have a look at our screen. We've got our run mode. If you have a look to the right and then down a couple, you can see the equations mode. So if we just use our directional pad and go down there to equations mode and press exe, which again that means enter, it gives you three different options. It gives you an option to have simultaneous equations, polynomial equations, and a solver. Now what we'll be doing, obviously we're being asked to solve an equation, so we want to press F3, which is for solving an equation. So we're going to have options here. Now, obviously, this question has an X in it. This can be any question. This question could have stipulated might be 3a plus 6 equals 2a plus 4. All right, doesn't matter what letter it is. When we're typing this into a calculator, there's two things that we need to know. First of all, we need to know where the key is that represents our variable or our pronumeral or our letter. We also need to know where the key is that represents this equal sign. Okay, they're probably the single two most important parts. So let's start by typing this into our equations mode. So obviously it says 3. Now whether it be 3x or 3a, we need to use the key, and hopefully this writes. I don't think it might not, right? No, okay. You can see this key here with the x, the theta, and the t. Okay, that's your variable key. So if we press that, it comes up as 3x. Okay. Now again, it doesn't matter if it's 3a or 3q or 3b. Okay, we always have to press that button there. That means our pronumeral. So 3x, everything else is normal, plus 6. Now one of the common mistakes is to press that enter button. Now that means enter. It doesn't mean equals in this particular setting. So we need to actually type in an equals key. Now hopefully you can see above the decimal point there, you'll see in yellow, there's an equal sign. That's the sign that we need to press. So we're going to press shift, the decimal point, and you'll see on the screen it comes up with an equal sign. Now we can type in the rest of it. So 2, our pronumeral button again, plus 4. And that's all we do. Now we can press enter and it brings us up the options. Now this is really important too, okay, because what will happen when you press that enter bit, this answer x equals 0 will be whatever your last answer was for equations. It's not the current answer. So make sure that you press the solve button, which is F6. So I'm going to press my solve button and it comes up now as x equals minus 2. Now had we done that the long way, that would have been the answer. So what we can now do, if the question was 3a, I could simply write down a equals minus 2. Now some people like to put the left equals 0 and the right equals 0, but to be honest, that no one cares. Okay, so you don't really have to put that there. That's just if you want to put a bit of working out, but to be honest, that they won't really mark that. They'll be marking this section here, and to be honest, if you had the right answer, they're going to give you the full marks anyway. There's no reason why we should be making this any difficult and making mistakes on this question. It's simply just an enter the question into the calculator as it looks. There are some more, I guess, slightly more challenging questions. Let's have a look. At, I guess, a fractional equations. It's not that much more challenging, okay, but we'll have a look at that. So we'll do another example. Let's have 3f plus 4 all over 2 equals, let's have 3 outside of f plus 1. So look at that. I mean, if we were given that as a normal question, that's pretty tough to solve. So let's now look at using our calculator to do that. So now that's our last answer is on there. So if all else fails, you can't do anything, press exit. Okay, that will take you back to the actual screen. We're going to scroll up because we want to type in a new equation. You can press delete, and then you can delete the formula, or you can actually just start typing in. So we're going to start typing in. Now, we want 3f plus 4. If you're typing a fraction in, I suggest, my advice is always to start with the fraction key. So we're going to type in 3f, or in this case 3x, plus 4. Must press the directional button down to get that bottom box, type in our 2. Now, if I now do shift equals, what do you notice? See how it's continuing on the bottom part? And that's because I didn't put the cross button. So let's go across, get the big cursor. Now I can type in the equal sign. I've got 3 brackets, my F or my X button plus 1. Close the brackets. Now I can press my enter. Okay, now notice that it gives me a different answer. I haven't actually got the answer yet because I haven't pressed that solve button. So let's press solve. Okay, we get the answer. In this case, f equals negative 0.66666667. Just quickly, what happens if they ask me to leave my answer as a fraction? Because obviously, if I press this FD, notice it doesn't change. Now that can be quite a bit of an issue, but there's an easy way to fix that. What we can do, we can go back into our run mode, and you can see it's got my information from my last question. But if I just press my X button, my pronumeral, because remember that's what my pronumeral was, and I press equals, look what happens. And it actually keeps my answer in from that equation. Now I can press the FD key, and I can actually now type that as a fraction 2 over 3, which is pretty cool, I think. Look, that's pretty much all there is to do with equations. Okay, it's nice and easy. You just go into your equations mode, you type in your equation, making sure that when you type in your equation, okay, and I might write this information up here for you. So number 1, we need to go into our equations mode from the menu. 2, we press F3, which means our solver. Okay, so again, if I go to menu, okay, so we go down to the equations. We then want to press our F3 for our solver, and then the third part, we need to enter the equation in. Okay, and then the fourth one, we need to press F6, which says solve. Once we do that, we can write our answer down, but make sure you keep the pronumeral from the question. So if it says F, make sure you give your answer as F. Okay, hope this was useful. Have a go at some of the equations, and then you can look at some of my other tutorials. Thanks, guys.